Wasn't the Super Bowl that anybody wanted, but here we are.
It's the one we got.
It's the one we got.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Coconut Curry Podcast. If you're new around here, we are 3 college students at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm Justin. We got Raj and Peter here as well. And we're on all platforms, YouTube, Apple, Spotify. If you're new around here, we just chat sports, hopefully offer a new perspective on things. Like we said, we're college students. Please like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot. We're almost at 100 subscribers.
Wow.
67.
Big milestone.
We finally found a little bit of a way in the system.
YouTube's about to send us the stone tablet play button. Oh my god.
Like carved wood. So we appreciate you all subscribing. If this is your first video as a subscriber, keep tuning in. And like I said, like videos, it helps out a lot. And we got nearly 200 views on our last clip, which is set an all-time record. So we appreciate everyone checking that out. We had 2 people here predict the Lions to go to the Super Bowl, which aged super poorly, but
it looked good for about 30 minutes.
It looked.
CJ Gardner-Johnson just didn't wave. Whatever, it's fine.
But yeah, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. And as always, we start the podcast off by reacting to comments on our Instagram, our shorts, and everything.
Like to say something to all the 49ers fans I reached. I never said your team was bad. Half the comments are just like, go 49ers, you suck. I never said anything about your team being bad. I just said, I want to see a different team in the Super Bowl. And for some reason, it reached every 49ers fan on the goddamn planet.
Chiefs fans.
Chiefs. Same. You know what?
Honestly, same thing.
Same, yeah.
Honestly, I could say the same thing about the Niners. Same audience, but still.
Yeah.
Chiefs fans, I never called your team bad. I just didn't want to see you guys in another Super Bowl because I like variety when I watch sports sometimes. It's good to see a different team win.
Yeah, so if you didn't see the clip, Raj had said that he just wanted to see a different matchup and not see the Chiefs. And Chiefs Kingdom came out in full force, sending gifts and saying that, like, well, you're going to have to deal with it. If you ain't us, like, if you're not us, then, like, I don't know, get on board or whatever.
And then they ain't us.
My favorite was when someone said, quote, "You sound gay."
That was an all-timer.
That was an all-timer. I don't know what...
I mean, I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means, but... And then one of my favorites was, quote, "I wonder if you said that about the Patriots."
Oh, hell yeah.
So let's break this down.
Really clear.
Raj and I are Eagles fans.
So
we were in the Super Bowl in 2018 when the entire country was rooting for the Eagles, one of the most hated fan bases in America.
One of the most hated dynasties ever.
Because everyone was rooting for us because everyone didn't want to see the Patriots get their 6th ring or whatever that was going to be at the time. And so the idea that, like, I wonder if you said this about the Patriots, the entire country was saying this about the Patriots besides the folks in Massachusetts, Connecticut, and, like, Rhode Island.
I am a Giants fan. We have beef as opposing fan bases. I was rooting for the Eagles. All right?
I was rooting for the Giants when they played the Patriots.
No one wanted the Patriots.
No one likes the dynasty. That's the point. But we'll get into it later.
Yeah,
but it ends up being good for sports.
Yeah, so I just love the, like,
yes,
wonder if
we
you said
did say this about the Patriots.
It's like everybody said this about the Patriots. It's like the Chiefs are way more likable in my opinion than the Patriots.
Oh my god, yeah. They are way more likable than
They've got,
Patriots.
like, personalities and they like play a little bit more, like, loose. The Patriots are like oh yeah, we're gonna be super defensively, like, stout and like boring
games to watch. That it's like, they win the Super Bowl 13-3. It's like, why am I watching this?
Also, Chiefs fans, I respect the ones of you who know who Alex Smith is and actually commented and recognized the Chiefs were not good about 15 years ago or 10 years ago. I respect you guys for holding it out and being loyal Chiefs fans. And all the Chiefs fans who kept commenting, I guarantee you cannot name who the QB was or the running back you guys had before Isaiah Pacheco and Patrick Mahomes. You can't even name any of your receivers before Tyreek Hill.
Did they have Jamal Charles at one point?
Yeah.
That was
their Pro Bowl running back who carried their team for years. And I respect the one guy who commented. He's just like, let me have this. We had a Pro Bowl running back and we were still ass.
Yeah.
I respect that. You know what? Those are the fans I respect.
Yeah.
The ones who can understand they were bad and now they're good and they're living in the moment and savoring it. Not the ones who comment the stupid gifs and say, like, Durka.
Yeah. There was the one homie that said that deleted it immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait.
I was about to go
that
crazy at him, but
and then one of my also favorites was, and I'm going to just quote this, quote, "Lamar and the Ravens have shown time and time again that no matter what people have to say, the Ravens are destroying teams. The Chiefs, spelled incorrectly, will be no different." Number one, learn how to spell Chiefs. Like, if you're going to, like, talk football, it's CHIEFS.
I think they also have to learn how to spell matter.
Yep. But I can say that's like the Y and the T are next to each other on the keyboard. I can get rid of that. The I and the E, like you're just messing that up. You
I
guys do better.
before E except after C, except there's a shitload of exceptions.
Yep. And number 2, Lamar and the Ravens have shown time and time again that no matter what people say, the Ravens are destroying teams in the regular season.
Yeah.
This year, not in the past Super Bowls. They've choked in the playoffs for the last 3-4 years.
Lamar,
and
indeed.
They did blow out teams in the regular season this year. So they were not time and time again. Just this year, they showed that they could destroy teams, which was impressive, but never besides
Also,
that.
they weren't really destroying teams.
No, they won a lot of big games.
Well, they won a lot of big games, but then they also like let the Steelers back into multiple games.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
And then the Rams game went to
Kenny
overtime.
Pickett beat them.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett is 1-0 against
With
Lamar Jackson.
Matt Canada as the OC
As the
still.
OC.
I don't know. Fourth quarter, Kenny Pickett's just a different breed.
Yeah. So we always like to start the episode off by reacting to comments. You know,
Also,
it's always fun.
please keep beefing in the comments.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
love it.
funny.
Absolutely.
It's like, again, there are the comments like, there are lines that you don't cross, but like, keep them hilarious. Like,
It's funny.
So funny. Like, just keep beefing with us, other people in the comments. It's funny. It helps boost engagement. Like, just keep going at it.
I love waking up to some of these comments. They just make me laugh.
They are really funny.
I just love when people bring in things that like don't matter to the conversation.
Yeah, when they just bring in the most irrelevant things. Like, I love this.
Like, were you even the were you saying about this to the Patriots? Like, we didn't talk about the Patriots at all in that clap. Like, it just was Raj. I think sometimes too the people who watch the clips don't watch the actual episodes, which makes sense. It's on social media, but they'll be like, get this person off the pod. It's like there's 3 people on the podcast. Like we all like.
Yeah.
I clipped the clip with other people. Like
it's so
everyone
funny.
looked at this. Everyone we posted this.
Yeah.
together.
Right. It's time to drop.
To be like
Okay, put the mic
this
back
guy
up.
shouldn't be. This guy shouldn't have a podcast. It's like no, 3 of us have a podcast.
Yeah, no, my favorite ones are like, it's the ones where it's like, this dude has the worst takes, and it's like obviously just a clip that's out there for clickbait to get engagement.
One person said that I had horrible takes, and like they looked back at all of our clips, which appreciate the views. And they were like, all your takes are horrible. I predicted the Super Bowl before. Like this was the exact Super Bowl matchup I predicted when I made the prediction 3 weeks ago.
Literally,
and it happened. And they're like, your takes are horrible. Like, yeah, did I get some games wrong? Sure. Did the result, the final result, end up the way it was? Sure. You did too. You also picked the Chiefs and the 49ers to be
I was delusional, and I thought the Bills were finally going to do it.
Yeah, that's on you. But
I still got the Niners. Did I?
No.
Wait, did I say the Lions?
You said Lions, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Hey, it looked pretty good for a little bit.
It did, and
But-
we'll get into that in a
CJ
little
was
bit.
Anyway.
bye-bye.
But
Anyway,
keep commenting. It's great for content.
It's
We
hilarious.
appreciate
I
it,
love it.
too. And then, of course, if you're new here, this is our favorite segment, Disgruntled Moment of the Week. We talk about either ourselves or other people that we think are dissatisfied or angry, hence the word disgruntled. And then I'm going to let Peter start because he went last week. Peter, what is your disgruntled moment of the week?
I started this off thinking I was going to go on a rant about how stupid boomers are, but the more I was thinking about it, I kind of literally thought about it right in this moment. My disgruntled moment of the week is for CJ Gardner-Johnson. What are you doing waving at the 49ers fans at halftime? This is the first time in like 60 years that the Lions have been good, that they've won playoff games. This is insane. And you decide to smite the playoff gods and say, oh, I'm going to be an asshole. I'm going to start waving to fans at halftime because you have, what, a 21-point lead? Something like that. No, it wasn't even 20.
17, I think, yeah.
Yeah, it was a 17-point lead at half. It was 24-7. You had one half to make it to the Super Bowl. One. But you decided that your ego and you being an asshole was more important than letting the team win. But no, you smited all of Detroit in that one moment. Detroit can blame you for that loss, not anybody else on the team. I know Dan Campbell made some awful decisions.
Yes, sir.
We're blaming
Dan Campbell.
you. We are blaming you, CJ Gardner-Johnson, because if you just didn't wave at the fans at halftime, the playoff gods would be fine.
Should've
And
stayed
they
in
wouldn't have been
Philly.
mad, and we would have had Detroit in the Super Bowl, and I would have been right. God.
Should have stayed in Philly, dude.
I 100% agree. Like, I don't understand how players time in, and some of it's like their edge they have and whatnot, and that helps them on the field. But
come on.
just you don't need to wave.
Don't wave
before,
at the fans.
before the half.
And also with such a cursed team in the Lions, the gods were waiting to smite them.
And you had every reason just to go into half like calm, come out and kick ass again, and just like kind of game manage sort of what the Chiefs did in the second half, and they didn't. So I think that's a great disgruntled moment of the week. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, welcome to the podcast. It's the first time we've really mentioned him this year because he left the Eagles.
Yeah.
But Raj, actually, should I go first or should you go first?
I think you need to explain yourself.
Okay.
You can go first and explain.
If you're returning from last week, which probably many of you aren't, but if you would like to go check that out, last week we made a squad ride, which is where all of our friends put in one leg of a parlay, and we watched the game and see it happen. And we were nearly close to cashing a really big paycheck. We're all going to Nashville. We were excited to have some extra spending money and everything. So, we were really close and we were going to do it again. So some people had 8, some people had 10, but I had a 10-leg parlay, squad ride again, and everything hit. And I'll just read off what all hit in this parlay. It was plus 2,307, which means $100 wins 2,307.
So for last week, they didn't hit the parlay. Yeah. This week, tried to do it again.
And I did not bet $100. Don't worry, but that's how the odds work. Here's what we bet: Brock Purdy 225, Jahmyr Gibbs 40 rushing yards, Christian McCaffrey 70 rushing yards, Debo 40 receiving yards, Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown scorer, Christian McCaffrey touchdown scorer, George Kittle 3+ receptions, Sam Laporta 40 yards, Jamison Williams 1 reception, and Amon-Ra St. Brown 5 receptions. So you may have seen me smirk at George Kittle 3 receptions if you're watching on video, because that was the only thing that did not hit.
Yeah,
and that was also one of the things that was most likely to hit out of everything we bet. It was like minus 590. He's the best tight end on the team. He's probably their second best pass catcher on the team in a big game, kind of like a security blanket for Brock Purdy, and he caught 2 passes the entire game. And everybody who bet, and this is why I'm disgruntled, is because that was my leg that I put in. I put in 2 legs of the squad ride, the Brock Purdy and the George Kittle. If we just don't bet George Kittle and I make a safer pick, everybody's walking home with an extra like $100, $200 in their pocket. And you can see Raj if you're on video, and you can see that he's really, really mad. So I'm going to drop the mic and hand it over to Raj. I've already gotten a lot of backlash. I've retired from the squad ride for the rest of the season. But Raj, I'll give it over to you.
Super Bowl. Don't deny it. Oh boy, here we go. You might want to turn him down.
So, here we are. I'm on my way back from Costco because I was going to make food. And I see that we're making our squad ride for the first game. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, this is pretty solid. I'll tail. So I'm adding everything. And then Justin...
By the way, this is the first squad ride was not the one I just said.
Don't worry. There's multiple times Justin has let us all down. So we're on our way. I'm on my way back. And I'm putting the bets in and onto my phone while I'm at a red light. And Justin sends a text.
Buddy, you just...
Don't text and drive!
I said at a red light. That's okay. Everyone does it. Let's be real. Whatever. They can't arrest me for it. Anyways.
You're the worst.
Anyways. So I'm putting everything in, and Justin decides to send a text. I kind of like the Mahomes over 25 rush yards. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well add it.
My God, I forgot about this.
It's a squad ride. So I'm like, you know what? I got to do it because it's for the squad ride. So I add it. And our other friends did not put that leg in because they already made their bet before Justin sent that. So I'm sitting there with Justin, and I had the Mahomes leg also in my parlay. Flash forward to towards the end of the game. 2 of my friends are sitting there cheering because their parlay has hit. I'm sitting there shaking my head in disappointment and looking at Justin because he cost me that parlay by saying that leg in the squad ride.
It makes you feel better. I cost myself too.
No.
How much money would you have made on the parlay?
That was probably going to be like 35 off of a $5 bet.
But then were you going to put that money then on the next parlay to make an even bigger payout?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah.
And real quick, the reason that parlay doesn't hit is because the Chiefs get a egregious holding called on them.
Yeah.
And so like not that it excuses my end of the bet and everything. That's football, but it just adds like insult to injury.
You got it.
Patrick Mahomes physically ran the necessary yards, and everyone thinks that was a holding call was way too soft to be called. And if he just doesn't get the holding call there, it cashes. But yes, Raj, go ahead.
But yeah, so that doesn't cash, and Justin has let me down once that day. And then then we're making our next squad ride. The George Kittle
This is
leg.
the big one too. This is
This
like
is the big one. And
that was a small introductory squad ride, and this was like the big show.
Yeah.
Avenging last week.
And now I had 2 parlays. I'm not as mad about the second one because Josh Reynolds can't catch a football to save his life. It's okay, whatever. But the one where I put $5 down to make about around 180, something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah, because I was like 200.
Yeah.
'cause I bet a couple more things. So yeah,
Something
you're
like
probably
that.
around 180.
Something like that. So I make the bet. Every single leg hits besides the George Kittle one. And there I am sitting there like an idiot because once again, Justin's leg has screwed my layover again.
Is that 3 times now?
No,
Twice for me,
I would
3
say
times for the squad
I would say
ride.
2.5 because
Okay.
the first squad ride we had last week that we talked about didn't hit because James Cook didn't get 4 receiving yards and Patrick Mahomes didn't get 10 passing yards. I was the Patrick Mahomes, but the James Cook would have also needed to
didn't.
hit.
Yeah, okay.
And
So 2.5 times.
and we assumed
yeah.
that if James Cook had caught a ball, they would have been closer to field goal range. Patrick Mahomes probably gets the ball back. So like that was a collective effort fail there. This was completely on me. I was the only leg that didn't hit.
Twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Yep.
but that was only related to you and me the
Yeah.
first time.
The squad
But
ride.
All the boys lost
Yeah, that was
based on my
rough.
mistake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's on me. I've hand up, gotta be better.
Gotta be better.
Yeah.
All right, so
Raj,
what are we cooking for the Super Bowl?
all I know is that I
Yeah.
am
Oh, the
not.
squad ride?
Yeah, what are we
I have
cooking?
There
no
is no
idea.
squad ride for me in the Super Bowl.
No, Justin can participate in the squad ride.
I
He
just
doesn't
can't.
get a
I'm not.
say.
I'm not cursing it. I
He
put
doesn't
out.
get a say.
Oh,
put-
so he can't put in a leg, but he can bet it. With
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I put out a statement into our group chat and said, "I, Justin H. Curtis, will not be participating in any more squad rides for the rest of the year until next football season because I'm cursed and I've truthfully hurt the boys more than helped them at this point,
Uh-huh.
and I need to take a step back. Do some inner work, reflect on myself, and come back stronger next year."
And
You're
you
gonna
know
be
what's,
an
and you know what's
absolute
crazy? My leg was the one that was said that would be a risky leg.
Wasn't it the?
It was the
Jameer
Jameer Gibbs anytime.
Yeah.
It hit in the first or second quarter.
Yeah, but any times are tough because like
I don't know.
Except for Christian McCaffrey.
I've been 2
yeah.
for 2. I told them for the last week when they had the squad ride, I sat there and said, "Trust me, Khalil Shakir anytime touchdown."
yeah, but the way squad ride works, and this is just for anybody even listening, is like you usually bet things that are more likely than not to happen because if you just bet really unlikely things during the game, your payout would be huge, but it's unlikely it's going to hit. So things like Brock Purdy 225, that was minus 400 likely to hit. Jameer Gibbs 40 rushing was minus 200 likely to hit, and things like that. When you get into the anytime touchdown scores, Jameer Gibbs was like minus 120 to hit the anytime, that means it's like probably 45%
Yeah.
chance to hit, which just increases your odds a lot. And as we mentioned, George Kittle 3 receptions was like one of the most free. I kind of added it in there as an extra little boost of cash that we could get paid out, and clearly didn't work out. So
Good lord.
that Jameson Williams 2-time touchdown would have fed.
oh my
families.
gosh,
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh
But
my god.
that's disgruntled moment of the week. I think our favorite segment. But now let's talk some football. First game of the weekend, Chiefs defeat the Ravens 17-10. The Chiefs advance to their 4th Super Bowl in 6 years, 4th in the last 5 years. Chiefs scored 17 points in the first half. That's all the points they scored the rest of the game. Mahomes 30 of 39, 241, a touchdown. Lamar 20 of 37, 272, a touchdown, an interception, and a fumble. Guys, what are our takes?
Good job, Zay Flowers. Good job.
You
This game,
sold.
this game was, you not fumbling the ball away from being tied. Because honestly, the Ravens defense played their hearts out that second half.
They were they played their hearts out the entire game.
Yeah, like I mean, you held Patrick Mahomes at 17.
Yeah.
That's on your offense. at
And
that
I mean,
point.
that first touchdown was
It
the
was
pass there was
the one-on-one with Kyle Hamilton
Yeah.
and Travis Kelce. Like
that was insane.
Kyle Hamilton had the perfect coverage. Like there was almost nothing else he could have done. And that's just Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes turning on playoff mode and being literally the best duo we've ever seen.
Yeah.
yeah,
in
and
the
that's not
playoffs.
really arguable.
Yeah.
Travis is only lacking Jerry Rice receiving yards. He's got
That's
more
true.
receptions, more touchdowns, and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, offense. I don't know what happened to the Ravens offense. Remember last week when I said if the Chiefs can't stop the Ravens run,
Yeah.
the Ravens are going to steamroll them? The Chiefs didn't need to stop the run. They just didn't run the ball
I think they ran it 6 times, I think.
5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting I'm like befuddled. Like you have Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, you have Lamar, and Lamar's rushes were just because
Don't say Justice Hill is like a Pro Bowler though.
I'm just saying you have these running backs
Yeah.
who can just, explode at some point. I don't know. But still, like you shut down your own run game for what? To favor the pass game, to send OBJs, who is washed as fuck right now. on a 40-yard fade.
Yeah, that he couldn't even catch up.
What was the point of that? So yeah, I don't know whoever was calling the Ravens offense. I hope you snorted a line of crack before you decided to call that game, because you shut down your own run game, which is what your offense was built around.
Yeah, I think the Ravens kind of got in their own head about everything, because it was very obvious that they were trying to have Lamar win this game through his arm, not through his legs. I don't know if they told him not to run or something before the game, but for anybody wondering, he just moved a can of Fanta off the table.
They were just shaking.
Not
Just shaking.
sponsored.
Not sponsored. Please sponsor us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wish we were sponsored.
But yeah, clearly something had to have happened where they told Lamar not to run, because he didn't. He really didn't scramble that much. And that is such an integral part of that offense, where you need to have a linebacker playing in zone and spying that quarterback, because you need to be ready for Lamar Jackson to scramble. And every time that he scrambled, he didn't take off like he usually does, which part of it is to make sure he doesn't get hurt, which totally valid, where he's kind of going down a little bit early, not trying to do that. Valid. You're trying to worry about your career, but you're kind of in the AFC Championship.
I was gonna say, if there's a spot that you get injured running for big yardage, it's we saw Brock Purdy make some really aggressive runs, and that
Brock Purdy looked better on his legs than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
And I think it was because for Lamar, he didn't that didn't look like part of the game plan, where Brock Purdy was willing to take that step and say, hey, I'm going to go off script.
Yeah.
It looked like Lamar was kind of ooh, I don't want to do this because for whatever reason, injury, because he thought he needed to do it with the air. I was going to say, I think what happened to the Ravens offense is what happened to the Bills decision making in that game, was where they were we're not going to be able to stop Kansas City on offense, because we know if they're down, they're going to come back and score. So we need to go score touchdowns every drive, and we need to make big plays. And I think they get away from the run game. This has happened in the Bills game, where they were throwing everything behind the line of scrimmage. They went for a fake punt when they really deep in their zone that they didn't need to do. And this happens. I think it happened to the Ravens too, where they stopped running the ball. We need to get the big play. I think they got a little bit enamored with the Zay Flowers big touchdown in the beginning of the game. That was kind of just an awkward, blown coverage. They had the Lamar Jackson 4th and 2, 21-yard run, which was the biggest run of the game for him.
Yeah.
And then they had the Zay Flowers deep pass when he had a bunch of time and kind of scrambled around and chucked it back there. And then after that, I think they saw some maybe success in the passing game, and they were oh, we're good to go. But we talked about it, and I mentioned it as part of the reasons I took the Chiefs before the game, was because I think the Chiefs cornerbacks were a lot better than the Ravens receivers.
At least matchup-wise.
Yeah, matchup-wise. So the Ravens had to rely on their running game, and they didn't rely on their running game, and that's why they lost the football game. They relied on the receivers. Zay Flowers, huge game, 5 receptions for 115, but he kind of cost them because he had a taunting penalty that shot them in the foot from being close to the end zone, and then, of course, the very costly fumble at the goal line. And I think it's because they rely on their receivers so much. I think if you kind of just run the ball a little bit more, you have some more success.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's there's one handoff to Gus Edwards in the second half. He got 8 yards on it.
Gus Edwards averaged 6.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, he was getting yards on his carries, which
it doesn't make
makes no sense. Why didn't you keep focusing on the run, or at least balance your offense a little bit more?
Yeah. I think it was definitely a questionable play calling. Like I said, I think the Chiefs, just being the Chiefs, I think it scared him a little bit, but that doesn't excuse not making good calls. How much of the blame do you think this falls on Lamar? You look at the game, what do you think of Lamar's performance?
Well, because here's my thing. It's he just had an MVP year. We know how good he can be. This looked like somebody told him not to run.
Yeah.
Because, we've seen him go off script plenty of times this year, rush for however many yards, because that's his game. That's what makes him such a great football player. But that legitimately looked like somebody told him, you can't run the ball.
And a key note is Willie Gay wasn't playing this game, the linebacker,
which was
for the
huge.
Chiefs.
Yeah, because it was going to be they lost somebody that was going to be able to spy you and keep up, and he would just be a wide open, clean pocket, and everyone's oh well, that should mean that he should be able to throw the ball. It's okay, well, they're only rushing 4. They have everybody else in coverage. There's nobody within 10 yards. You can get 15 yards off of that. If Lamar Jackson just takes off the way he can, he could easily get a first down every time. And then if you just keep doing that and they can't stop it. Why would you just keep doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, keep doing it until they can stop you. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, like, to me, it really looked like somebody told Lamar not to do that versus him choosing not to run, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think whoever the OC is, like, I don't know what was going through his head. I feel like he was trying to, like, overcomplicate things against the Chiefs. He was probably trying to, like, outthink Spags. Is that the
Spagnuolo?
Yeah.
Spagnuolo.
I think he was trying to do too much to, like, outplay Spagnuolo the whole time, and you really didn't need to. If you just stuck to what's been working all season, I think you would have been fine.
And they didn't really give the running game time
No,
to see if it was working. It wasn't
run
like
games don't work like that.
It wasn't like they established it in the first half.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't like they did it in the first half. It wasn't working. And then they changed their plan.
Yeah.
They never really worked it into the offense. So it wasn't like we won't get to know if it was working or not. You see sometimes games where teams rush in the first half, go away from it in the second half when they're losing. And you kind of say, hey, that was working in the first half. Why didn't you do it in the second? This was a game where we never knew if it was going to work because they never did it.
Yeah, it was just such a small sample size.
Like I said, they rushed for a total of 81 yards. 21 of those yards on a 4th and 2 QB draw
from Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, you wonder why that was what worked out well.
Yeah,
and I mean something that, and of course, I don't want to take all of the blame from Lamar in this case because he had some dumb decisions. Like there was like that last interception.
I wish I had the confidence of Isaiah LiQWYD to put my hand up saying I'm open with 3 dudes around me.
Yeah, he threw his hand up and there was 2 dudes like bracketing him, and then there was a safety coming over. Like that was an awful decision. Like I understand some people are whining that it should have been pass interference. Which timeout. Let me just talk about something real quick.
Go ahead.
We this whole year have been saying how awful the refs have been. We have been saying they're terrible. They're throwing too many flags. So like the defense can't do anything. It feels like they can't do anything. And then now in the playoffs, where it is a clear underthrown pass that guy had no shot at getting, we want them to throw a ticky-tack flag.
And I'm glad you said this because if you're a quarterback throwing into triple coverage, there should almost be no world in which the refs are bailing you out, no matter the context.
You don't deserve that. Yeah.
Isaiah LiQWYD isn't catching that ball, whether if it's perfectly threaded in there, he's not catching the ball because he's so covered.
Yeah.
Like there's no, you can't throw the ball unless it's like over top of his own head.
Yeah.
And I just don't think
that
arm
wasn't
angle
the
works.
throw, yeah.
So the idea that you would call a pass interference because the quarterback threw it into triple coverage on there, like I understand that it might be like, well, he had no shot for a jump ball or anything like that, but it's like you can't bail out like the game is very quarterback friendly now. We're not bailing out Lamar Jackson because he's made a horrible decision.
Yeah.
To throw the ball.
Yeah, it was just it was just horrible. It really was, because like at a certain point, like you can't reward bad throws with penalties.
Yep.
Like, because there was another thing where it was like, oh well, I think it might have been LiQWYD again, kind of got like held a little bit, like
the
whatever.
James Bradbury in the Super Bowl.
It was like kind of like it was held, whatever, got turned, but then Lamar Jackson throws it 45 yards out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's like he's not getting there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, why we thought, like, if Lamar was throwing the ball away, fine. But if you thought that he was going to be able to catch that pass, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. In terms of what I think, I know some people are going to label me as racist, as I've been labeled before, and you can do what you want. I give Lamar a lot of the blame for this game. He got a big contract in the offseason. No matter what his OC said and what the game plan was, as the quarterback, I would hope you have the trust to make those decisions to run out of the pocket. Like, if your coach is like, don't run out the pocket, you need to throw the ball, and you have a clear lane, like, it's still on you to scramble. And in terms of those turnovers, the one interception we had just discussed was absolutely brutal. There was no reason for him to throw the ball. He would have been better off taking a sack. I think it was like in field goal range. They could have gotten 3 out of that. And in a 7-point game, that matters a lot. And the fumble, he was outside the pocket, didn't have a good awareness of where he was, and someone slapped down on his hand, just knocked the ball right out. That's just bad quarterback play. And I think when we evaluate Lamar Jackson, Lamar now he's going to win the MVP award. He now has a unanimous MVP, and this is going to be a near unanimous MVP this year. So he has 2 MVPs, both nearly unanimous, which is the same number Patrick Mahomes has. So we have to start putting him in that conversation with Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes played the way that Lamar Jackson did on Sunday, we would be grilling him, saying that he was distracted. He's concerned, like the team is concerned about other things or whatnot. So to be fair and clear with all other teams, Lamar Jackson deserves a lot of the blame. We gave Josh Allen blame for things that happened this year with his turnovers and whatever, because he's like viewed as the guy on that team. So that like I think this idea that we're putting it on the OC only and whatnot is just not like Lamar Jackson's a quarterback for that football team, and he had turned the ball over 2 times in a game where Patrick Mahomes didn't put that ball in harm's way at all the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't give the Ravens opportunities. The Ravens were the best defense at turning teams over.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs didn't put it in harm's way. Lamar Jackson put that ball into the defense's hands twice, and that changed the game. Obviously, Zay Flowers has that big fumble, but that's the game right there. That's 3 Ravens turnovers.
Yeah.
Can't win again with 3 turnovers.
Like truthfully, the fact that it was 17-10 is good for you. That means you could have won in spite of your turnovers.
Yeah, and you know, and the thing is also that I have been seeing is like how everyone's like, oh well, it was Ravens versus refs the whole game. You did not watch that game if you legitimately think that.
The Chiefs got hosed, in my opinion, on 2 holding calls.
They literally lost 4 points.
Yeah.
Because of the refs. Like they had 2 back-to-back light holding calls that backed them up to 4th and 24.
And these are holding calls that like
are pretty ticky-tack.
That happen almost nearly every play.
Yeah, one of them was on like a screen
Well,
where
so-
he threw the guy towards Patrick Mahomes.
So it was the first one was when Patrick Mahomes scrambled for the first down. They get him on a hold that looks really light. Then the very next play, they do a
Same
screen
guy.
that goes into the touchdown, into the end zone.
Yeah.
They call it on the same guy the very next play,
Yeah.
as if they were almost like stalking him to see if he was going to do it again.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So I don't know if like McDonald, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens, or Harbaugh had like said, "Hey, watch this guy. He keeps holding," and maybe that's why they got him. But yeah, the Chiefs got hosed of 4 points, as far as I'm concerned.
They literally got hosed out of 4 points. And also, to everybody saying, well, why did Zay Flowers get a taunting penalty when Travis Kelce's taunting every play? Okay, timeout. Let's explain this real quick, because clearly people don't watch football or understand what's going on. So even before the game starts, we get this whole thing about how, Travis Kelce threw Justin Tucker's helmet when he was warming up. He's such a bully. He's a terrible human being. Justin Tucker was doing that to be a dick. That's the point. He said that. He's in the other team's warm-up area and is kicking balls and has his helmet right next to where Patrick Mahomes is throwing.
Yeah, and what they said on New Heights podcast, and you can go listen for the full story there, is that like everybody does this, but his helmet and footballs were obnoxiously right where Patrick Mahomes was trying to throw the ball.
Yeah, so it's like, he moved his crap because Justin Tucker's being a dick. He knows he's being a dick. That's the point. He's being a pest. He's trying to get in their head. This is just gamesmanship.
Yep.
So by Kelce just moving his crap out of the way so Mahomes can throw, not that big of a deal, guys. It's not that deep.
And then he ran off to Roquan and said, "That's him. That's the one who bullied
That's
me."
the one who bullied me. And then meanwhile, there's a guy from Baltimore literally punched a Chiefs player before the game. And we're not talking about that. Like that dude could have gotten ejected before the game started.
Yeah, I don't know where all like the anti-Chief stuff came from. I know what like, their dynasty and everything, because again, the taunting call. I've never seen a more obvious taunting penalty on a player like Zay Flowers had, and people were like thinking that taunting should be taken out of the game, that it was egregious call.
Timeout.
Zay Flowers caught the ball, pushed the guy down on the ground, threw the ball at him, flexed on him, and screamed. It's the most obvious call.
Because I will give it, Snead was still holding onto his leg.
A little bit.
Fair. Like, if you want to just like kind of like, there's, you're kind of heat of the moment, whatever.
It wasn't the push that
it wasn't the push.
Flag.
It was not. They didn't throw the flag when he pushed him.
Nope.
It was spinning the ball in like at him and then flexing over him. Like, dude, what are you thinking?
When they're training new referees, it's the exact clip they're going to show them for what a taunting, obvious taunting penalty looks like. So the only argument you can make in that case is that taunting shouldn't be a penalty in the NFL, which is just not good for the sport. I don't think it's good for young fans watching the sport to see like people like standing over top of them. That's how like little kids start doing that at games. And
because the whole thing, and because it's like, oh well, they were pointing first down. It's like, yeah, because they're not doing it at a player. Or one of my favorite clips that everybody loves using, and it's like, well, Travis Kelce's in their face and he's pointing forward. How is that not taunting? It's like the other guys were talking first.
Yes,
that's the point. The refs know that, so they let that go. It's the same thing where when Patrick Queen throws Patrick Mahomes down, sort of at the whistle after a play. Travis Kelce kind of gets in his face. Roquan Smith comes over. They're like kind of beefing, they're chirping, they're shoving each other, whatever. The refs are letting it go. It's playoff football.
Yep.
You know, it's playoff football in Baltimore with the two best teams in the AFC. Like
No one like pushed each other.
No one. It was like
helmets up against
you know,
each
it was
other.
like clear they were jawing at each other. They were getting in each other's face. That's fine. And then Kyle Van Noy from the top rope comes in and headbutts Travis Kelce, and they're like,
throw the flag.
and they throw the flag, and then everyone's like, why? Well, why didn't Kelce get a flag? It's like he didn't headbutt somebody. What do you want him to do? God,
then,
it's so obvious.
And then the next penalty in that
Oh
drive
my
where the Chiefs
God.
have the field goal is Mahomes running up through the
Oh my
pocket,
God.
which we could have hit the parlay on that too. And then the defensive tackle punches him up in the head. And obviously he was not trying to hit
he
Mahomes
wasn't
in the
trying
helmet,
to.
but he did, and it's a penalty.
Yeah.
He was not past the line of scrimmage. He was still the quarterback in that part.
And we are the same guys. You can look at this podcast where it's like we always criticize whenever refs, you know, okay, they criticize we criticize the refs whenever, let's say you have a guy like, okay, he kind of like taps them on the head and they throw the flag. It's like, that's light. That's not roughing the passer, whatever. This dude threw a haymaker that hit Mahomes like under the jaw and threw him back. Was there a bit of a dive from Mahomes? Sure. But you can't do that.
Both of you guys picked the Ravens to win the game.
I wanted them to win.
I wanted them
And
to
Raj
win.
sat here on the podcast and got called gay for not wanting the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl. So we are people that are saying that the calls were fair calls because they were.
Like,
And the Ravens lost that game on their own.
Yeah.
It's not because of the refs. The Ravens
it drives me insane.
The
dude.
Ravens had the win in their hand they had every opportunity to win that game.
They threw it
and
away.
They threw it away. Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
happened.
Oh my god!
And but what does this mean for what does this Chiefs victory mean? We talked a lot about the Ravens, but
Yeah.
what does this mean for the Chiefs?
Well,
They decided to play really in the playoffs.
yeah, they turned it on. I mean, they embraced the villain role.
100%. And that's like
they embraced the villains, and I'll get into it a little bit later. But like I think they now are about to be a dynasty if they win this. Like if they win this Super Bowl, which they easily can.
Yeah.
I think that because it'll cement them as probably the best. It's like 3 or 4 year run like ever.
Mhm.
yeah, it'll be top 5.
Well, no, it'll beat out the 2014 to 2018 Patriots where they had 3 Super Bowl appearances. Or no, they had 4 Super Bowl appearances, 3 Super Bowl rings. The Chiefs would have more wins than them in that same stretch and have the same amount of Super Bowls, which would be like utterly ridiculous. Mahomes would catapult probably into a top 10 quarterback of all time. I understand you're going to say it's glazing, but if you
Patrick Mahomes would be top 5 all time if he wins.
I'll give him top 10. I'll give him top 10 because I just don't want the comments.
Fair enough.
But legitimately, like you look at like his, or at least easily potential on track to be the greatest quarterback of all time. I understand that's an insane thing to say, but
it's really not when you look at it.
If you look at it, like the stretch that he's on, like the pace that he's on is like ridiculous. And of course people will say, oh, well, Brady was 22 and had however many things, whatever. It's like, okay, but then they also had a 10-year gap where they didn't win a Super Bowl.
We'll play this little math game, right? Mahomes has been in the league for 6 years, and let's say he wins this year, which is a big if, he'll have 3 Super Bowl rings. If he plays to be 40 years old, that'll be exactly 12 more years, which means if he just duplicated his career times 3, which would be hard to do, he would have 9 Super Bowl rings. So obviously, I don't think he's going to end up with 9. But if we want to compare him to the GOAT quarterback, he needs 5 to be probably in the conversation, which he would be well on pace for. And then 7, if he gets to 7, I think it's almost undeniable based on how much more talented he is than Tom Brady.
And of course, this is all hypotheticals. These are all what ifs. These are all like extrapolations of what his career could look like. But the whole thing is like we are witnessing like in real time, at least for us, we're watching the difference between like the Michael Jordan and LeBron debate, except they actually played against each other. We literally saw the passing of the torch between the two. Well, first it was Brady beating Mahomes over the head with it in the Super Bowl, and then he passed the torch to him. But we're watching this next generation where it's like he is like the next guy. Like he has the potential to be not only the face of the league, but one of, if not the greatest football player of all time.
Yep.
It's insane.
It's ridiculous. We're watching the best player in his sport in real time, and it's not even close.
No.
I think for the Chiefs, this victory is just everybody. I'm going to gloat a little bit because I predicted the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl, but this is why people like me were getting upset when like all these other teams are favorites, because the Chiefs are a championship caliber team with the best quarterback, who were constantly said the receivers aren't good enough. They're going to have to play on the road in Buffalo, play on the road in Baltimore. And gave all these reasons for why the Chiefs wouldn't win. And the reason the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl again is because they have championship caliber quarterback with a championship caliber pass catcher with a championship caliber coach
With a championship caliber defense.
With a caliber defense and a defensive coordinator for the last 6 years who has always showed up and coached his team in big spots.
Yeah, Spags he's wildly underrated when it comes to,
because he hasn't had the best talent.
Yeah.
And then this year he has great talent, and they just have dominated defensively when they needed to. And this means that nobody should go into a game again with the idea that the Chiefs, especially when these big lines, that the Chiefs should be underdogs, that they are not right. Like, no matter what, if they start off the year 4-4, 3-5 next year, they should be given the benefit of the doubt from here on out until they're just no longer winning, because they have showcased for the last 6 years that it's not like Patrick Mahomes now is 10-3 straight up as an underdog. That's ridiculous.
That's insane.
He's like 11-1-1 against the spread as an underdog. Like, it's these constant things that are happening that it's not a hot take if you said the Ravens were going to win the game. But the line moved up to 4.5 to 5. People were saying the Ravens were going to blow out the Chiefs because look at the stats. They were so much better during the regular season. And the best player in the sport just went in there and kicked their ass.
Yeah.
Again. And it happened in the Josh Allen game in Baltimore, into Buffalo.
I wouldn't say it's as much of a Mahomes ass kicking as it is. I feel like it's a combo. Like, Mahomes did play very good. He played a clean football game.
That's, I think, kind of the big
But
that matters.
I wouldn't say he whooped their ass. I would say the Ravens shot themselves in the foot 80 different times.
I mean,
That's
that's fair. I just looked at the second half where, sure, they didn't put up points, but Mahomes didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah, he
constantly threw the ball away, didn't give him opportunities. He only threw and completed 9 passes the entire game.
He can win in any way that you need him.
Yep. Yeah. And he's just like, in these playoff games, he's thrown like 9 interceptions in his 17 career playoff games, which is absurd, against the best defenses, throwing for thousands and thousands of yards. And when in a game where Lamar turns over the ball twice and Josh Allen turned the ball over in the last game, he's constantly giving his team the turnover margin in these games, and that leads to a lot of victory. So I give Mahomes a ton of credit.
Yeah, and especially this year too. Like, they kind of went through a bit of a gauntlet to get where they are. Like, obviously, regular season they skidded. They weren't the best, whatever. Then when it comes time to playoffs, they have first a negative 23-degree game,
fourth coldest game in NFL history,
where they look no different than any time. In fact, they look better than they did before.
Yep.
Then they went into Buffalo and beat the next guy in Josh Allen.
They were underdogs by 2.5 points.
By 2.5 points. They went into Buffalo, and there was all of that talk about how Mahomes has never been in Buffalo. Mahomes can't win on the road.
Never played a road
playoff game. He doesn't know what it's like to be in Buffalo, and he beat them in Buffalo. I get it. Oh, they shanked a field goal, whatever.
And we talked about we talked about that.
We talked about that ad nauseum,
like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
the game was not as close as it appeared to be. But go ahead.
Then it's, they have to go to the best team in the league right now, Baltimore. That I was talking about how insane the Baltimore fan base is and how big of a home field advantage it is to play in Baltimore.
Underdogs by 4.5 points.
Underdogs by 4.5 points. And Mahomes went in there and played a perfect game.
Yep. And that's where I was saying when I was advocating for the Chiefs getting in this position, it was just because I just turned my mic off. I was advocating for the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl because I just thought Mahomes would play the cleanest football, that he would lead his team, and they would be right in the playoffs, and that we were silly for doubting a Mahomes and Travis Kelce led offense with Andy Reid. And I'm still sitting here saying that. It's just an incredibly impressive performance. I would say if the Chiefs can finish the job here, it's the most impressive playoff run that a team has had in a while.
Yeah.
They were underdogs on the road twice, played the 4th coldest game in NFL history against the best receiver in the league, and a really creative offense, and they don't have all their pieces right. And so, yeah, I think it's extremely impressive. For For the Ravens, we'll have to see what they do in the offseason. They just lost their defensive coordinator today. He went to go head coach for the Seattle Seahawks, so we'll see where they go. But anyone else have any thoughts on the Chiefs Ravens before we move on? That's like 25 minutes on the Chiefs.
Nah, I think we've placed enough.
I Dick rode Mahomes enough. I think we're good.
Yeah. Next game, 49ers defeat the Lions 34-31. Lions were up by 17 at halftime. Brock Purdy and the 49ers come all the way back to win the game by 3. Brock Purdy, 20 of 31, 267, a touchdown and interception. Goff, 25 for 41, 273, a touchdown. It was full of Dan Campbell questionable coaching decisions. Maybe Brock Purdy MVP moment.
Oh, God.
What is our take on this game? Because there was a lot.
Dan Campbell would hit on 20.
If he was in blackjack and he had 20,
He would hit.
hit me.
He would hit on 21.
Yeah, Dan Gamble. I mean, look, everybody.
Wow,
is,
Dan Gamble's a great name.
Dan
I love
Gamble.
that.
Yeah.
Gamble.
Oh, I did not want to make the. I did not. I stole that from the internet. I did not make that.
But it's funny.
It's really funny. But yeah, that first half they did exactly what what I thought they were going to do, how the Lions were going to win this game, because it's going to be the run game is how they're going to dominate. And that is exactly what they were doing, because the 49ers had issues with explosive run plays, and with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they were doing exactly that. And apparently Jameson Williams, who out of nowhere decided to be a crazy running back, but all right, whatever. They dominated. They really did. The 49ers offense didn't really look like it was in sync. The Detroit defense was playing out of their mind.
Yep, they only let up
half.
7 points in the first half.
They were playing absolutely out of their minds. They had every ounce of momentum going in, and then just the calls by Dan Campbell,
I think,
and CJ Gardner-Johnson waving at those fans.
Things got tight, and that's what happened. When they hit adversity,
third quarter, they fell apart.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That third quarter scoring was the 49ers scored 17 points. The Lions had 0.
Because I think they were like, okay, we're going to play conservative. We have a lead. We don't want to do anything stupid. We don't want to let them back into this too fast. And they took their foot off the gas way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much. They were playing way too conservative. They were just letting the 49ers gash them throughout the entire game. And it was, God, I mean, we'll get into the Dan Gamble calls at some point, but good Lord. I understand the first fourth down call. The first one that he calls, you're trying to go up. I think that was in the first half, I believe, actually, where they were trying to go up and just extend their lead. Sure, I'm all for that. They were within their own.
Yeah, it was a question between if we were going to go for a 3-score game, like you kick the field goal, you're up by 3 scores, or whatnot. You're already up big at that point. I'm pulling up the game cast to make sure that's accurate.
But it was the right call. It worked. Like, if Josh Reynolds could catch a pass, they would be totally fine, because it was the right play call. He was open, and he just couldn't hang on to it.
Yep.
Whatever.
So it's with 7 minutes left in the third quarter.
Oh, third quarter. Okay,
third quarter. This is to go up whatever they were going to go up by. Because 49ers get a field goal.
Yeah.
And they could kick a field goal to keep it at a 3-score game.
Yep.
4th and 2 at San Francisco's 28. So it would have been a chip shot field goal probably. And they have a pass that's open to Reynolds. I think I would have kicked the field goal in that spot. But again, I think we can all understand logic.
That's a worthy gamble right there.
And 4th and 2, statistically, you're likely to hit it.
You're likely to hit it,
and
they did.
Yep.
They just didn't convert. Like, that's understandable. Whatever. The next one, how that fourth down call. What on God's green earth are we doing, Dan Campbell?
You are down by 3, and you go for it.
Yeah, so the game cast here is, it is 4th and 3 on San Francisco's 30, so they're in field goal range. They are down by 3, and they go for it with 7 minutes left in the fourth. That there feels like a spot where you just tie up the game.
You just tie the game. Like, if you don't trust your defense that much, we got bigger problems there, Dan. Because what was it? 4th and
3 on that one.
4th and 3. Okay. Because it wasn't until like Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think. Yeah, because it was like, again, it was like,
or something.
it was like, the pass was like kind of there, kind of not. Like it just looked like the play kind of got blown up a little bit. Kick the field goal and tie it up. You do not want to try to rely on onside kicks to win the game. Because if you don't get this, you're screwed.
Well, so then we can even talk about this more in his decisions. He runs the ball on like a third down or whatever that ends up burning a lot of clock. At one point, I forget what point of the game it was, but there was no reason to run the ball. He should have called a timeout.
That was right at the end when they were trying to score the touchdown. They run the ball.
And this is another thing. They go for the touchdown when really what they could have done is they went for the touchdown and they went on a 4th and goal. They should have kicked the field goal, not run the ball on the third down.
Yes.
Because then they could have kicked the ball to 49ers, 3 and out with timeouts, and gotten the ball back to go score. Instead, they're relying on an onside kick, which is just highly improbable in the NFL at this point.
Almost worked, which is insane. Yeah. Like, it was very, very, very close to working. He was about like a half to a yard and a half, like too close. But it was almost there.
Yeah.
Which is wild to say. But yeah, it's just like after the whole year like that the Lions have had, that Michigan as a whole has had, where it's like, oh, they won the
aside from the Pistons.
Well, the Pistons are irrelevant. Yeah. Well, that's actually one of the big problems.
The Pistons won that day.
They did.
The Pistons, along with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. What are we doing? Why are you winning
Pistons,
today? You're 6-40.
No one was watching your game. You should have just lost.
Like, because for anybody that doesn't know, there's a curse that only one Michigan/Detroit team can win
at a time,
in one day at a time. So when the Pistons won, the sports gods were like, "Oh, the Pistons won. I guess. Okay, whatever." And then they look over and they see, hey, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's waving at fans at halftime. Yeah, no, Detroit's not winning this game. We're gonna smite them real quick.
Yeah. I was saying to all of our guys after the game, Dan Campbell made fireable coaching decisions.
He should not get fired.
He should not get fired at all. But those are things that if you are Nick Sirianni,
yes,
you're a coach that has been in the system longer and haven't brought the Lions back from how much hell they had been in, then you get fired, because those were some bad decisions.
Yeah.
And there were also things that went wrong, right? Jahmyr Gibbs fumbled when at a really crucial spot where the momentum was switching.
There was the stupid bounced interception,
the head,
whatever,
and everything. Like, they definitely, like, there were some things that happened there, but your coaching decisions, if you just kick 2 field goals, you win the game. And I know that's like playing revisionist history, but if you just kick 2 field goals on those 4th downs instead, you win the game. And then even at the end, using bad management of the clock is just very like suspect. So again, Dan Campbell, like, not getting fired, but
he should. Let's be very clear. Dan Campbell should not get fired, because you're right. After he has brought the Lions back from being god awful to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Like this year for the Lions, as much as it sucks that you lost in the NFC Championship game, it was absolutely incredible. You have a ton of young guys on the roster. You have they have like $60 million in cap space next year.
Yep.
Like, you can build this team.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent.
You got to work on you got to get another receiver, and you got to work on the defense. That's really about it.
Yeah.
And you, with $60 million in cap space and pretty much all your draft picks, you can do that.
Yeah.
Like, they easily can. They have a bright future ahead of them, but
and they're getting their OC back.
They're keeping their OC, which is huge for this team. But good Lord, Dan Campbell. I respect his commitment to the bit, because he lived by the gamble and he died by that gamble.
I do at least appreciate that he didn't, like, you'll see coaches kind of go away from what works in the playoffs sometimes. I appreciate that he
stuck with it. He stuck to
his mindset, but I mean, we also had been saying all year, like, all the decisions Dan Campbell made all year were just wildly aggressive and unnecessary. So I could, if I was the GM, I would consider putting a kind of an assistant head coach in there to help with some maybe more game management.
It's decisions. Like a get that coach, but instead it's for like decisions. Like, okay, Dan, let's calm down.
Yeah, they do assistant head coaches all the time. They just hired one down in Carolina for Dave Canales for his role, but yeah, I just think they need someone to manage that a little bit better. But enough about the Lions, because they lost the game. The 49ers, did Brock Purdy answer the call? Did he show you enough?
He did.
He's not a system quarterback.
He actually scrambled. I was very shocked that he could run.
The scrambles were highly impressive.
Those were really good.
I was not expecting to see Brock Purdy scramble for over 30 yards.
Yeah.
That shocked me.
They literally had like almost the exact same like scramble drill that him and Lamar did, where they like flip the defender like over their back and then roll out the other way.
Carson Wentz also had something very similar in Washington a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Probably more than a couple now, but
I was about to say, I was like, that's definitely more like a couple, dog.
Definitely 20
I'm reliving my glory days, pal.
Look, it was really close, man. But yeah, I mean, look, the whole shtick with Kyle Shanahan's teams is that he's up big and they can't come back. They've done that twice in the playoffs this year. So they look good. They looked really good in the second half. They looked awful in the first half, but they came out, they made their adjustments, they came out swinging, and really it was kind of the offense that like really brought it together.
And once that defense got a stop, they were really they were able to
pin their ears back. They were able to get after the quarterback a lot more. They were able to adjust to the run game better. It just like everything shifted. And I mean, you know, it's death taxes and white Jesus, Christian McCaffrey being an absolute monster as per usual. But
Carolina, why did you do that trade? Like, what went through your mind? I don't even know what they got in return for it.
I think it's a second round pick.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why?
I think they drafted Jonathan Mingo with that one.
There had to be some collusion going on there. Like, how? Why?
Yeah,
but Brock Purdy,
he stepped up to the call.
He's not going to be one of those quarterbacks I think that's going to be making the most spectacular throws, whatever, that kind of thing, but he'll win games.
I think Brock Purdy, I wouldn't have called him a game manager, I don't think so.
No.
But he's definitely dropped the label of game manager because he made a lot of plays out of the pocket. He had that incredible escape and then throw to Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah.
Which was also just a fantastic catch, but that was really good. His scrambling was fantastic and he didn't look scared. I will say, he got a little lucky because he threw an interception that bounced off the DB's face, and then Ayuk caught it for a touchdown. That was extremely lucky.
He caught it like the one and then scored.
Yeah. Okay,
but whatever.
And so for Brock Purdy, do I still think he's a top 10 quarterback? Probably not. I still think he sits at 12, but he's shown me enough to say, hey, the 49ers have the right QB to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't give you as good of a chance as a guy like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, those guys, but you don't need those guys every year to win a Super Bowl. And Brock Purdy can get this team to a Super Bowl. Yeah. And by keeping him on a cheaper deal for another couple years, you're able to keep the talent around him. So it'll be very interesting when his contract comes up because where's his evaluation? Is he better than Daniel Jones's contract? Like, I think Daniel Jones overpaid. So like you give Brock Purdy $30 million, but does another team try to give you more? Like that will become interesting. But Brock Purdy clearly is good enough to win this team a Super Bowl in the right conditions.
Yep.
Like I said, though, I don't think like he had a bad first half, got lucky with the Ayuk touchdown, but made some good plays out of the pocket. So I would say he answered the call, but I'm still not sold and think he's one of the better QBs in the league by any means.
Yeah.
But he is definitely top half.
Yep.
Is that any more thoughts on the 49ers-Lions game?
No.
Two great football games.
Awesome. Actually, some great games.
They were really fun to watch.
Yep.
Had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
We're going to hold off on Super Bowl predictions for now.
We'll save those for next week.
Give us some more time to think about it. I do have a feeling where all of us are leaning towards, but we'll save that for the pod there.
I'll need to see what the injuries and stuff are looking like because there are some key ones that I want to keep
I need to pick
on.
with emotion.
Particularly Joe Tooney, Willie Gay.
Joe Tooney, I believe, will be out.
Oh, really?
Joe Tooney, I believe, will be out.
And they lost their defensive ends. And of course, on cue, our mics died.
Of course, but it was a pretty good cut.
Yeah. We were decent in the middle part, so we'll see if you're even hearing this. Maybe I'll just cut it and make it clean. But like I said, we're going to hold off on our Super Bowl predictions. But we did want to talk about Taylor Swift.
Oh God,
everyone's favorite topic.
I know, right? It's our mandatory every 3 week topic.
We really haven't talked about her much on the podcast because there wasn't much to say. But I think now that the Super Bowl's set, Taylor will likely be at the Super Bowl. She was on the field during the celebration.
Yeah.
We can kind of offer our collective takes on it because I feel like a lot of people agree, but there still is definitely a negative sentiment.
Yeah.
And I think especially because we're some college age people, we have a lot of friends and people enjoy Taylor Swift, and I think we have a little bit more of a better insight to the whole thing.
Well, because I think I not trying to toot my own horn, but I think I got a bit of a nuanced take with it because look, at the end of the day, big picture, the NFL is a business, all right? The end of the day, no matter what, the NFL is a business. They care about the bottom dollar, right? And something that is always good for that league is to have a villain, because it makes every other fan base feel like their team is the good guys, and it makes them want to watch their team more. And you hate one team. They had it for 20 years with the Patriots, like 23 years, something like that. It was ridiculous. They had one team that everybody hated in the league collectively. We could all cheer and root against this one team, and everybody in that fan base loved their team to death. And that fan base then gave so much more time and energy to that team. So then that made everybody feel like, well, we got to catch up, because now it's an arms race. So now we have to then compensate for that. So the NFL loves villains, because you need it. You need one of those. And NFL's point of view, oh, well, how else can we piss people off? Oh, so you're telling me that people don't love seeing Taylor Swift all the time? Okay. Well, then we're just going to get a camera on her whenever we can. But here's the thing. She's not even on screen that much.
So I'm gonna, if I remember, I'll link the New York Times article. New York Times did a great piece on how much she's actually on camera. I believe it is an average of 32 to 34 seconds. I can't remember which one. Not to mention, she was on the Miami broadcast for a minute because the game was so bad, because the Dolphins couldn't score and the broadcast was horrible because it was like the least popular game. So that's with the 1 minute outlier. But
so that's my whole thing, is that I think that, when we're looking at like villain teams, right, we always like it, everything feels bigger than it actually is, right? Like how we look at things like Deflategate. It really, if you look at what happened, wasn't that big of a deal. It really wasn't that deep. Spygate, different story. That literally was them bugging a locker room. That was a whole other thing. But it makes it feel like there's a lot more going on. Like how we feel like, oh, maybe the refs are favoring the Chiefs because they capitalize on those penalties. They don't make a ton of mistakes. And whenever the other team makes a mistake, the Chiefs end up winning. So that's why it feels like there's a lot more like of like this. It makes the Chiefs feel like this villain, right? So that's why whenever you see Taylor Swift, it's, oh, well, they put her on all the time, because they put her on after a touchdown, and half the time people are looking at their phones during the entire game. So that whenever they hear the announcer start screaming, they look up and see, oh, there's a touchdown. Oh, there's Taylor Swift because Travis Kelce scored. So it makes it really feel like she's on the screen a lot more, when she over the past 2 games has been on the screen for less screen time than Jason Kelce was without his shirt on.
That's false.
No! How close is it?
3 seconds off.
Damn it!
But and that's what I was going to say is Travis Kelce had 5 catches, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Bills. She was on screen for 24 seconds. The girlfriend to like the second most popular player on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Maybe, honestly, he might be more popular than Patrick.
Yeah.
And then Jason Kelce, who was acting like an out of control adult who was shirtless, had 21 seconds. But no one had a problem with Jason Kelce, who was drunk and shirtless, being on camera. But people had I can't watch Taylor Swift anymore
because she's just
screen. She's just on it too much.
Like, what do you want her to do?
And we followed up her being on screen too much in the Bills game with 32 seconds of her being in the Chiefs-Ravens game.
Also, I'm pretty sure one of the times she was on the screen was for like an ad for the Grammys.
Yes, and yes, it was that because Stevie had the call. And not to mention, Travis Kelce had one of the best games of his career with 11 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown against the Ravens.
And ridiculous catches, by the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, for the Dolphins game, she was on for 1 minute and 16 seconds. This is all on the New York Times article, link below. Chiefs Bengals, she was on for 12 seconds. The Chiefs Raiders on Christmas Day, 14 seconds. So this notion that she's on a lot, I think someone ran like the division. I think it's 0.42% of the game.
Yeah,
is devoted to Taylor Swift coverage. Peter, did you have anything more you wanted to?
Well, just really my big thing is like, for the people that are screaming at their TVs saying that she should get off the screen, whatever. I understand why you think she's on the screen more often than not, but what my message to you is, it's not that deep. I promise you, it's really not that deep. And if you've seriously got issues with a woman who is one of, if not the most popular person on the planet
She was Spotify's most streamed artist
at this point, being on the screen for under a minute in all of these games because she is dating one of the most popular and famous people in the NFL who's on the best team in the league. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, it's not that deep. Like, just kind of get over yourself. Like, especially to all these dads that are like trying to get online and say like, oh, I hate Taylor Swift, like whatever, all this stuff. And it's like, you're screaming all of this probably in front of your daughter who probably likes Taylor Swift. And it's like, dude, like that's not a good message to be sending to your kids. Like, because you get all these other fathers that are like, you know, I love that Taylor is on the, like, is being talked about more because it's bringing my wife and daughter into the football community. Because it's like, oh, well, I wasn't interested in football before, but now that Taylor's dating Travis, I was about to say Travis Swift, Travis Kelce.
At this point, yeah.
At this point, but it's because the whole thing is like,
I mean, she did put him on the map.
She did put him on the map. So bringing more people into the league is into the watching, into the audience. It's good for everybody. It brings a different demographic and it brings a new perspective. Like, guys, stop crying about it. It's really not that deep, and it's so annoying at this point.
Yeah,
like it's so annoying.
So you were on like a point that I was thinking about is sports. This is like a more societal thing. Leisure in sports watching in this country keeps going down from the past. NFL ratings have been relatively high, but on a week-to-week basis, especially like when you look at sports like the NFL, MLB, NHL, they face a problem with people are not watching sports as much because they're busy and we're more in a work-focused society. Streaming platforms are kind of taking over television.
Yep.
So you don't like the Peacock did the game, the Chiefs and the Dolphins game was a Peacock only game.
Yeah.
So it was less accessible for many people to watch. The way you can combat that is by having one of the world's most famous people helping to promote your sport. She generated about $340 million in brand for the NFL and the Chiefs this year. That is huge, and that helps keep the sport going along. So I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, the only reason like this is good is because you're helping the sport grow and you're getting more viewership in. But if you actually care about football, if you're an old head who loves football but hates seeing Taylor Swift, she is helping you gain viewership and keeping the league afloat for years and years to come. Because the truth of the matter is sports watching has been declining, and you just got a bunch of like middle-aged women, younger women to come in and watch football.
Yeah, like sort of like millennial to like I guess Gen Z.
Yeah.
Like which has been the demographic the NFL could never reach ever.
Never.
And the whole thing is like, to just like even to backtrack a little bit. What do you want Taylor to do? Like, she's not doing this for publicity or for the NFL. Like, she's just dating Travis Kelce because she likes Travis Kelce as a person.
She's
like,
even gone out and said, like, I feel like the NFL is posting me too much. And she's
you
even
can
said
see her on the Jumbotron when she's like telling the camera to get off her. Because she's like, I'm just here to watch. Like if you've ever played a sport and you had a significant other in the crowd or something, would you like if everybody started booing them the second they went on like a Jumbotron or something, or like they were pointed out in the crowd for some reason? Like, no, like this isn't obviously, as NFL fans, that's where we're coming from, where it is great for business, but just as a person, as a human being, like, what do you like? Why do you care?
Yeah, it's adding to the league, not subtracting. And when I think of things that this could be viewed as negative for. So when we think about, and this doesn't matter what political side you want, it's both. They're not promoting political views. They're not anti-vax. They're not commenting on the wars or out there. All they are is just a couple that is on camera. So when it's kind of fine and quirky when Aaron Rodgers calls Travis Kelce Mr. Pfizer.
It's weird but funny. Like, whatever.
It's viewed as funny by everybody. He's allowed to say that Jimmy Fallon's on the Epstein
list. Oh yeah, that was crazy.
he's allowed to do ayahuasca and the darkness retreat and all that's kind of viewed as, oh, he's quirky and whatnot.
Yeah.
We don't really have an issue with that. But when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce just get in a relationship and she happens to be on camera a little bit, it's a problem. It's like we are almost holding them to a higher standard for doing nothing wrong.
Yeah.
They're not out there perpetuating is the word.
Yeah.
Like anything that's political or negative.
Like, for God's sake, we have Deshaun Watson on the screen for 17 weeks.
Yeah, we have someone who most definitely engaged in.
You have 70 cases against him that were all handled out of court. Okay, bro, you definitely didn't do anything.
Constant players getting in trouble. Travis Kelce's never had a really big issue. Taylor Swift has done nothing but be quiet and hold herself and her brand to a high level. No one's ever said a bad thing about Taylor Swift besides her carbon dioxide emissions on our flights.
Yeah, but besides that, and also Kim Kardashian, which if you're taking Kim Kardashian's word at face value, we got some way bigger issues here, bro.
So this idea that these two people who really seem to like each other can't be like left alone and the NFL can put them on the screen. And it's like Simone Biles got a lot of attention for a small period of time.
Yeah.
And her husband, I think
Jonathan Owens.
Yeah,
is
I
on
think-
the
I think-
Packers.
Are they married?
They're married.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
I
the
couldn't remember-
safety.
He's a whole
I couldn't remember
the
whole thing there.
But they've gotten like more time on the NFL's website and games and whatnot. And Jonathan Owens is nowhere close to as relevant as Travis Kelce, and Simone Biles isn't as popular as Taylor Swift. So this is happening across the league with popular like wives
or even now
relationships.
where it's like, oh well, Taylor Swift was wearing something made by Kyle Juszczyk's wife.
Yeah,
It's like
they've promoted Christian Juszczyk up because Taylor Swift is wearing a piece of her clothing. So it's good for Kristen. It's good for Taylor.
Yeah.
It's good for the Chiefs, the
it's
NFL,
good for the league. And
branding.
it's like guys, if you just don't like women, you can say that. All right? I don't agree with it. Just say it. Stop beating around the bush.
Just be misogynistic.
Just be misogynistic.
It's
just say
just
it.
a game. Like it's not
It's a
that
game,
deep.
bro. Like it's not that deep, and it really is at this point because like at first it was a little nuts where they had her in like the NBC intro during like the Sunday Night Football thing where it's like I could see where you could be like, all right, this is getting a little bit much, and then they dialed it back. They did. Like, did they? Because at first it broke the internet when she was first at the Chiefs game. It did. It completely broke it.
And this is everything with social media. Like, things go in waves.
Yeah.
Next season, they're going to do the same thing if Taylor Swift's at games. They're going to show her celebrate a few times. That's going to be it. But it's not going to be as big of a deal. Like, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce dating rocked the world in the beginning. With good reason.
Because it's two of the most, like, famous people on the planet.
Yes.
Well, I guess Taylor Swift on the planet, Travis Kelce in the United States.
Yeah. But, like, the massive personalities in a relationship, that's going to do anything, whether you're just, like, artist-related or whatever. And now it's just not as big of a deal. And she acts like every other NFL white. Like, everyone talks about Brittany Mahomes.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other
Brittany's
relationships.
something else.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like she still gets screen time. Like Brittany Mahomes is on the TV damn near as much as Taylor Swift during those celebrations. She's in the box.
They were cutting to Brock Purdy's parents in the crowd.
Yep.
No problem with that. What's the difference?
Yep. There's not. And so I think as it's all said and done, we'll see Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl in all likelihood. I think everyone like is doing the math on how she can get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
She can get there. She will probably be there.
Yeah. Swifties are currently planting trees right now to make sure that they can offset her carbon emissions to make sure she gets back.
And that's just the thing. Like Taylor Swift, like she's done everything right as an artist and as a person in the spotlight when there's a lot of scrutiny you can face.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce has done nothing but be a good example for the league.
Yeah.
And they just don't deserve the hate that has come their way.
Which, by the way, it probably seems like there's a lot more hate than there is because the people that do hate are just very loud. But still.
And everyone's making anti-hate video. I mean, we're not the first. Like,
of course.
Colin Cowherd did it. If you have not seen Colin Cowherd's rant on like the Taylor Swift stuff, go listen to it. It's so funny and so accurate. He pretty much just like says like lonely men need to like get a life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is true. But Raj, did you have any Taylor Swift takes?
Oh, you guys said everything you needed to. Now I'm going to the comedy part of it.
Oh, okay, let's go. Yeah.
I love the memes I see.
The memes are so funny.
Like NFL music, Ellen Crocker posted like Captain America, save us.
Like there is that aspect that is so funny.
100%.
Like now
So
now they have a Brock Purdy like edit of this too.
Yes.
Like I love the memes. I live for them.
Dude, oh my god.
Or like there's some out of pocket ones. Like they like I don't know if that was a real like Taylor Swift music video or something of her getting thrown under a car.
No, so that was her in a movie at
Yeah.
one point. Yeah.
It was like Taylor Swift stepping foot in Baltimore. She
Yeah,
shot.
it's thrown under a car.
I love the memes. Like they're amazing.
Yeah, because there's a very obvious, like, you know, people in the content creation world at least see that it's like, oh, there's some response here, I'm gonna make a bunch of jokes about it, and then it kind of like snowballs. But like the people that like obviously are clearly just poking fun at this, like that's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so funny.
And-
Great.
And Travis thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thinks it's like the jokes to a certain extent are funny.
Yeah.
The fact that she's on camera a lot is funny
Yeah.
and everything like that. But there's just a point where it's
It
little
just
overblown.
gets cringe to
and if
hate
you're
that
so
much.
if you're so depressed and lonely that you're not happy that Travis Kelce and Taylor look really happy celebrating
Yeah.
the AFC Championship together, that's on you. Like if you're not happy that Travis is really pulling for Taylor to get all those Grammy awards that she's going to get in a few days, like that's on you. Just be happy that two people are happy.
Yeah, like
Especially in a world where both of them are scrutinized daily
yeah.
for everything they do.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's driving in motorcades and stuff because
Yeah.
of like threats and whatnot.
She had like a
And-
stalker show up at her house like 30 times or something like that.
Yep, like maybe be happy that she seems to be happy in
Yeah.
a relationship with
Like
someone.
just
So,
at the end of the day, it's a lot easier to be happy. Like for the memes, hate all you want.
Yeah.
Those are hilarious. Those are so funny. But if you genuinely like have an issue with this, like just be happy, man. Like just find something in it that you can enjoy and just move on. Like it's not that deep.
as a group of people who watched the whole game together, both games this past weekend, the amount of time that we talked about Taylor Swift
Was probably
next to none.
maybe a minute total.
It was like, oh look, Taylor, cool.
Yeah, like anyway.
Like when Travis scores, we're like, "Oh, what's Taylor gonna do?"
Yeah,
and
no,
we're on the field, we're like, "Oh, wow, look at that, it's so cute."
Yeah, because of course we were like placing bets on how fast they would show her.
Yeah, like, and that's just, I think people make it seem like sometimes that's all Taylor Swift does is dominate the conversation. We did 25 minutes on the Chiefs game without talking about Taylor Swift because guess what? She wasn't a big deal in the game.
Yeah, there's
So,
not that much going on.
That's
Yeah.
that. Any last thoughts?
I wonder if she's gonna get a ring if they win.
I think she deserves an OC ring, honestly. Also, it's gonna be hilarious if they win when Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are macking on each other. And he's just holding up the Lombardi Trophy. It's gonna piss so many people off. It's gonna be so funny.
We're gonna do a head coaching roundup and go through those hirings, but we're going a little bit long, so we're gonna save that for next week. We will also have our Super Bowl predictions, our
Yes.
final predictions
Yeah.
next week, and we'll recap kind of
Can they tie?
how we did in the.
Can they both lose?
We'll kind of recap how we did for the playoff predictions. It's almost the end of the NFL season.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's really crazy.
I
to think
can't
about.
believe the Eagles did that. To me.
it's our last NFL season in undergrad.
Don't say that.
I can't
Never
believe
again.
the Eagles let me down on this note.
Oh boy.
I can't believe it.
Good lord.
You, Brian Johnson.
We went so long. That's it for this episode. If you made it this far, we appreciate you listening. Help us on our road to 100 subscribers. And other than that, we'll see you next time with our Super Bowl 58 predictions.
Brock Purdy, save us.
Brian Johnson, you're a domestic terrorist.